Hi everybody! My name is Michelle the Bookworm, and in this week's video I'm going to be talking about and discussing the way in which I annotate my text. So first I'd like to define what annotating is for those of you who don't know. Annotating is whenever you mark or furnish critical points in a text or make explanatory notes in a text. I annotated The Return of the King, which is the last book I reviewed. And this was kind of... I annotated this book just in preparation for this video. I used different methods that I had never really done before. And it was a really interesting experience to see which ways I liked more. What I really liked about annotating The Return of the King is that it really allowed me to engage with the text and just to immerse myself into the novel. There's so much packed into The Lord of the Rings in general, and I feel like it's particularly true for the third one because so much is going on. And annotating this text really helped me to be more engaged and to pick up things that I probably wouldn't have picked up if I hadn't paid that close attention to it. So every one of the ways that I annotated that I'm going to talk about, I did for The Lord of the Rings. I love annotating because it just allows me to get immersed into the text, and there are 3 different ways in which I annotate a text. So there's writing in the text, which is something I always do. I also use sticky notes. My favorite so far have been these little post-it sticky notes because they're nice and you can actually write on them. And I also use note cards, physical note cards where I take notes of what's going on in the text itself. I don't use each and every one of these for every text that I do. There's a lot of I won't use a note card for every single one of my texts that I read. So I kind of the way that I annotate a text generally depends on the type of text itself. I used all 3 in Lord of the Rings because it was that level of text and I really wanted to get engaged with it. I use different forms of annotating for different texts, and I kind of don't have a strict criteria for which form I use for which kind of text. It kind of just, I use whichever one feels right for me in that moment. The primary way in which I engage with a text is to write in a text. I know that, this is kind of a controversial opinion. So the way I write in a text is I underline, I make notes in the margins. There's quite a few passages in Lord of the Rings where I'll like make little notes. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. And this is a kind of controversial way of engaging in your text because a lot of people have this stigma against writing in your text. Like the pages have to be pristine and clean. But actually and I used to believe that too until I went to college. And the teacher themselves said, yeah, write in your text, write in the margins. Because it'll help you kind of, if you're able to engage and have conversation with yourself about the text, you'll be more engaged with the text itself and you'll be able to absorb more. And it's something that I've just kind of naturally do now, even with some of the not so complicated texts that I have. And especially texts that I will reread, it's kind of interesting to read the initial thoughts that I had about a text. Like the theory, I'll write down theories about what I think will happen in like later on in the book, and it's really interesting to reread that when I do read the text. The next way in which I engage in a text, and it's kind of new for me, is sticky tabs. So this is my first time using a color-coded system, and it was interesting. It was an interesting. I think I went overboard, to be honest. It's a lot. So for Lord of the Rings, I actually made a note card. This is my color-coded note card. So for major battles, I used red tabs. For scene changes, I used dark orange. For miscellaneous, I used orange. For character, I used yellow. Artifacts was light green. Natural imagery was dark green. Foreshadowing was light blue. Deaths were dark blue. Folklore was purple. And literary quotes that I liked were pink. It was a little overwhelming, and I actually frequently ran out of certain colors of sticky tabs, because I think that's just because maybe I noticed certain things more. In the Lord of the Rings, there was a lot of character development, so I frequently ran out of yellow. There was also a lot of folklore, so I frequently ran out of purple. And towards the end, I kind of just eased up a bit. And maybe I just went a little overboard, because that was my first time like annotating a text with different color tabs, and I just got excited. It's something that I think really helped me to engage with the text. I have not gone back yet to see if those tabs helped me to find certain points. Still experimenting with it. I think that the most helpful, so sticky tabs weren't as helpful as I would have hoped. They were fun, but I think the most helpful way in which I annotated and engaged with the text was actually writing in note cards. This was the most useful form of annotating, and it helped me put important events in chronological order. Instead of like writing in the margins of certain conspiracy theories that I had, I could write it on my note card, and now I have chronological records of everything that took place. And it allowed me to write out my thoughts and engage with the text that way. I wrote out thoughts, I wrote out theories, and this way is really good for texts like Lord of the Rings that are really, really in depth, that just have a lot of content that you can't put in the margins, and if you did, it would look like scribbled mess. And it just helped me to keep a linear record of what happened in the text, things that I thought were interesting. I'll probably reread this and pick up things that I missed, like going through this in order again. This is by far my most favorite way of annotating a text so far. In conclusion, I would like to give out a disclaimer for this video. Many of the methods that I used in this video, I actually got from Little Book Owl's video called How I Annotate Books. I wasn't really sure how to annotate, so I kind of did a little bit of research, and I saw her video, and I saw she was actually the one who gave me the idea to do note cards, which, thank you so much. This is actually probably going to carry this on in future videos, in future texts that I read. So thank you, Little Book Owl, for giving me this idea. And I also loosely based my color coding sticky tabs on her video as well. So thank you again for that idea. Um, Annotating, yeah. Annotating was a really fun experience. I will probably continue to do it in the future. Um, it was really particularly helpful for, again, a really complicated book like this. So that kind of wraps up my thoughts and feelings about annotating, but I would definitely love to hear from you guys. I have two end of the video questions, and they are: in what ways do you engage with your text? Do you take note? Do you write in your text? Do you listen to an audiobook and also read along? What ways do you kind of get more out of your text? And what is your opinion on writing in your text? Again, it's something that I firmly believe in, um, but it's also kind of a new idea to write in your text. It's not something that we're really raised believing is okay. It kind of feels a little, I don't know, a little bad. Like, you're always told, no, don't draw in your books. And now, like, I do it in order to engage. So, what is your opinion on writing in texts? Feel free to leave any questions, comments, feedback in the comments below. And I'll look forward to reading them and seeing you next time. Thank you so much, and you have a great day. Bye!